Welcome to the Bite Size Brilliance Podcast. I'm your host, April Darley, and today I want to talk about finding the balance between doing and being. So, depending on what kind of communities you plug yourself into, you've probably heard the phrase, you're a human being, not a human doing. All right. And there are different personality types out there. So, some people are naturally hardwired to do a lot. Those are the manifesting generators in human design. Those are the rulers and money archetype. You might say that's the fire sign in astrology, but they just love doing stuff. You could call them a workaholic or busy, but that is how they're naturally wired, is to just do a lot of stuff. And those people really have a lot of problem slowing down and being or relaxing. It doesn't feel as fulfilling to them. And there are other people who are exactly the opposite. They enjoy the slow life, nature, slow, leisurely walks, delicious, slow cooked, yummy food, and little bursts of activity here and there. And no way is wrong, but both ways can keep you stuck, depending on if you're going against your wiring or not. So I have met several entrepreneurs with this kind of block, and I myself have fallen into this sabotage and block, where we get into this space where sometimes we feel I should be doing more, so I'm going to go learn something. And then we put ourselves in this space of constant learning. I have Mercury in Gemini, so if you're into astrology, you know I am all about learning. My brain moves very fast. And I even have intellection as one of my top 5 Clifton strengths, which means I also need to set aside time to do nothing but think. And my brain is going all the time. So I love to learn things, but I also need integration time to think about what I've learned. And if you're that way and you've gotten caught up in this constant course junkie cycle where you're like, I just don't know enough, where you doubt yourself, I need to learn a little bit more and learn a little bit more, and you don't launch anything, then you've gotten yourself too much in the human being and not enough in the human doing. And it's the doing which is the scary space, because we have to try things. And that means you need to do them a few times. And learning about them is not going to help you do them any better. Because think back to when you were first learning to drive, you got your permit, you had to take these classes about how to operate a car, and you've watched your parents drive. But when we put you in the driver's seat, it's no longer just mental. You have to add that action physical component to it. And when you were in the driver's seat, suddenly it was a whole new ball game. You might have gotten the pedals confused. You've got to watch all these different things now, and that part is way scarier. But you've got to do it and do it enough times to where you develop systems or muscle memory, to where you develop enough evidence to where your subconscious goes, okay, we can do this. We didn't die. Disasters didn't happen. Any mistake we made wasn't a completely unfixable mistake. So I'm going to be okay. And maybe even this is fun and it gives me freedom. And I love that. So finding the balance between being and doing is really important, because you don't want to be doing so much that you forget to be as well. So if we look at the flip side of that, there are a lot of people who keep themselves so busy that they forget to think and be. And they even forget to ask themselves the question, yes, I'm doing this, but is it paying off for me? What's the return of investment on this? Am I just doing busy work that's not getting me anywhere? That's not moving the needle forward, that's not even making me happy anymore. And maybe you've gotten so used to doing it a particular way that you haven't stopped to think about other ways that it could be that would work out better for you. So, finding the balance between doing and being is such an important thing to do. So, you want to start. How do you start with that? Is to look at how you're naturally wired. Are you a person who is naturally wired to be busy, a workaholic? You're looking for tasks, and you have trouble relaxing. If that is you, then you want to schedule in some thinking time. Schedule in relaxing time where you are committed and dedicated to finding solutions, letting your mind rest from what you normally do, self care. That's going to be really important for you because when you are so busy, and if there's a fear element involved, it's going to block your creativity. So you do need to allow yourself to slow down, get into that parasympathetic state where you are relaxed and receptive. And then once you've allowed that thinking, integration, receptive time, you may find that you're energized with new purpose. Now, if you are really comfortable with being and you schedule in a lot of slow meals downtown, downtime, lots of self care, then you want to think about where you can step it up to schedule in phases of action. And that might be batching. So, this podcast, I batch it. I will record 2 to 4 episodes at a time. And that allows me to have a couple of weeks of relaxation time where I can just be and think and learn and do. So, you may work best with little bursts of activity, but keep those consistent. Because if you are a procrastinator and it's like, no, I enjoy relaxing more than doing, you're going to need a little bit more structure and discipline so that you can find that balance and have the best of both worlds. So, having systems in place, lists, tasks, bringing a little bit of order to your world there is going to give you the freedom that you can enjoy that slow time and really make the most of it and find that balance within yourself. So, think about how you're naturally wired, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you need to schedule in to be successful at that. And if you need some help with that, I do have a resource over on my website. It's called the Decision Guide, and you can find that by clicking on the shop page on the very top bar of my website, or I'll drop the link in the show notes. And the Decision Guide is tailor made to help you understand what your brain is doing when you work too hard and when you don't, and to help you define these goals that you're trying to work toward and putting systems in place that are going to make you the most successful that you can be and still stay true to yourself and how you're designed or wired. It's only $7 and you can grab that over at aprildarley.com on the shop page or by clicking the link in the show notes below. Thank you so much for tuning in, my friends, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.